The following conversation is for a mature audience. We provide a safe and warm environment for our guests to share in their own experiences, to speak their truth out loud. Viewer discretion is advised. Grief changes us in ways we never expect. It reshapes who we are, what we believe, and even the paths we choose. Today's conversation is about a mother's love, the heartbreaking loss of her son, and how her pain became the driving force behind her life's purpose. Today, I'm sitting down with Barbara, a licensed mental health counselor whose journey began with tragedy but continues with purpose. Barbara's son passed away from leukemia at just 10 years old. And losing him not only changed her life, it motivated her to pursue her education and become the professional she is today. And she's now on her way toward earning her doctorate degree. Barbara, welcome to Truth Without Edits.
Thank you. Oh, what a lovely introduction. That's very nice.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you here, Barbara. We were able to connect a little bit before this episode, and it was just such an honor because I rarely get to speak to someone who I feel like our stories align. Mm-hmm. And our stories do align quite a bit, and that was very emotional for me. But also I'm like, wow, I can't wait for the world to hear her story. Thank you. Let's get right into it.
Thank you. Let's go.
So Barbara, before we dive into everything that you've accomplished and, you know, where you are now, I want to start with your amazing son, right? Please tell us about him, who he was, what he loved, what made him so very special.
So my little guy, he would have been going on 28 tomorrow. Tomorrow's his birthday. Ironically enough, here we are. He was born Angel Devenir Torres, first name Angel, of course. He was a wonderful old soul. He thought he was my husband, you know. he became parenticized to the other two young children and was my helper. He helped with homework, he helped with timeout. He was just a fascinating little guy into every sport you could imagine. And he experted it. You know, like he was very good at basketball, baseball, soccer, archery, you name it, he experted. Almost too good to be true of a child.
An angel.
An angel
on
to
earth.
say the least.
An angel on earth.
Definitely.
So you said you had two younger children?
So he's the oldest of three.
Okay.
After he passed, then I had a fourth child.
Okay.
But he's the oldest of three.
And he was just such a helper, such a big brother, took the reins.
Oh, yeah.
So Barbara, would he ever share with you what he wanted to be when he got older?
Definitely an athlete. Definitely a basketball player. And he comes from height. His father's 6'3", uncles are 6'4", so he would have had some height to be a basketball player.
He would have made it.
Oh, for
sure. What do you want the world to know about your son?
He's my hero. You know, Angel is my hero. Again, I wouldn't be, and we had this conversation, I wouldn't be the woman that I am without him. You know, he got me through his illness. He was just that guy. You would think he was the adult in our relationship because he was an old soul. So the brave soul that he was, the warrior, how smart and talented he was, and he changed lives. That's for sure. I definitely have to write a book on my kid.
You do.
But he changed lives, for sure.
Sorry.
It's okay.
This is so beautiful and so personal. What do you remember most about his personality? I know you're sharing that he was like an old soul, right? And he helped you with the younger ones, right? Is there something that pops out to you the most, like one word that would describe his personality besides old soul?
Resilient. Wow. He was what he wanted to do, he accomplished, even at a very young age. Something as you would never imagine. I didn't raise them religious, but our neighbor was a church, and he's entering the second grade in Chicopee, and all his friends are doing the first communion. And he's like, Mom, I want to do first communion. So he started walking over to the church by himself And then all of a sudden he's bringing his brother and sibling, his
Oh,
siblings,
my
I'm sorry.
goodness.
And eventually he did his first communion all on his own. And then, of course, started making me go with them.
Of course, right? As you mentioned resilience, that word really pops out to me because I think of children who become sick, right? And they have all these doctor's appointments and they're getting poked all the time. And, doctors are running tests. And I always have that word in my mind, like, wow, these kids are so resilient, right? Because even for adults, sometimes we go through something and we're like falling apart. But to watch a child go through something,
absolutely.
and I feel like they'd have so much faith.
Oh, he handled it from the minute he was diagnosed. Because, again, he was such an old soul. He spoke like a grown man. And he said, let's just do what we got to do, Mom. Let's do what we got to do. It's like, you understand what's happening? Yes, Mom, I have cancer. Let's do what we need to do. He was just that kid.
Barbara, I was going to ask you that question next because my son was young enough that we didn't have to tell him that he was dying.
Yeah.
He was 3. I
Yeah.
didn't have to tell him you're dying. I just say,
Right.
baby, you're sick. You're going to get better. We're going to, take you to doctors every once in a while. They're going to give you some medicine, puppy. You're going to feel much better. But Barbara, your son was 10.
He turned 10 9 days before he passed away. So he was born September 13th, died September 22nd. So literally 9 days after his 10th birthday. So, but with him, he was just, there's a phrase, and I hope I'm saying it correctly, God only gives his toughest lessons to his toughest warriors. And this kid is definitely a warrior. There's no way I could have handled what he was going through if I was going through it myself, So this kid was just a fascinating story. Doctors and nurses still ask me, Mom, when are you going to write that book? When are you he's definitely changed lives.
So he knew his diagnosis.
Yeah, absolutely.
You never hid any
No.
details from him?
Doctors came in his room. They spoke to him, not me. He was that involved in his treatment. He knew what medication he was taking, what round was what he knew everything. I would fall back and they would speak to him.
Wow.
I barely, he just knew. He knew, like, if there was a medication that he was taking on the weekend and comes Monday, a nurse is about to give him the medication that he only takes on the weekend. He's like, what is that? Just like that, this kid was something else. And she's like, your medication, that's the weekend medication.
Oh, I love him.
Just like that. He was just that guy. He was, on a different occasion, a nurse is, the port that they get for the chemo. She's struggling with putting in so he could flush him out. You
Yes.
understand that, to
Yep.
get the flush. He took a deep breath because she's struggling to get this done. Took it away from her, unscrewed it, screwed it. He goes, there you go. He was just that kid.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Such a pro with his own life. He knew what he was going through, and no one could do it better than him.
Yeah. This kid's got an
How-
amazing story.
How about school, Barbara? Did he continue going to school through treatment?
So no, because it was so aggressive that the minute he was diagnosed, he couldn't go back. So we started doing the homeschooling. So we had to move from Chicopee to Springfield because now I have to, care for my child. So I moved to my mom's house, and his teacher was not able to homeschool him because now we live in Springfield and we were in the Chicopee school system. She did it for free.
Oh my God.
She did it for free. She goes, I'm going to homeschool him still. I don't need the money. I'm going to, develop the curriculum so I could homeschool him. And she did.
What a blessing. Were you working at the time of his diagnosis?
So, ironically enough, I had just taken a volunteer layoff at the WIC office. I worked at the WIC office for many years. So I took the volunteer layoff so I could go back to school. So I always had that ganas, to go back to school. Second semester, the first day of the second semester, we get the diagnosis.
Wow.
So luckily I was laid off. Then I was able to give up school because I had to. And then we moved to Springfield.
Wow.
But yeah,
But it's almost like God was already preparing you for that break that you were going to have to take.
for sure.
That's so incredible. Can you share what those early days were like emotionally, spiritually, when you first got that diagnosis?
As I mentioned earlier, Angel was very spiritual. We did a lot of meditation. We did journaling. He picked it up a notch. himself. I believe that from the beginning, his journey was a spiritual experience.
Amen.
For everyone involved, especially him. Telling you, he's got stories just to show you what how spiritual he was. We went to downstairs at Bay State. If you recognize Bay State, we were at the cafeteria. Back then, they had all the food for these kids. Coming back up with his, IV pull and all that stuff. We have a doctor following us into the room. She says, "Can I have a conversation with Angel?" And sure, I always fall back, right? So she says, "I have nothing to do with your care. In fact, I'm a doctor from a different facility, but I saw you downstairs and I have the urge to come speak to you." So she says, "Angel, do you speak to your body? Do you meditate and pray and tell your body?" And she starts to tell him how to do this, right? Speak to your body. You have a gift. I see it. Start doing this, start doing that. So she starts describing how to do it. He lets her finish, and then he throws his hands back and goes, "I already do all that."
I love it.
I already do all that. And he went in. Angel went in. He was quiet and still smiled a lot, but just really, he went internal. Very, very spiritual kid. I pick up my spirituality from my child.
Amen. Amen. Did your friends and family really provide the support that you feel you needed during that time?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Doctors, nurses went beyond for him. It was always packed. That waiting room, the toy room where the playroom,
I remember
that place was always packed with Angel's friends, teachers, neighbors, family, you name it. He made a big impact.
That's so important when you're going through such a difficult time to have that support from family and friends, because even if you do have people in your life, as a mom, you feel alone.
Absolutely.
Because your child has this terminal diagnosis.
Absolutely.
Was it terminal?
Terminal. I was the only one who knew it was terminal. I didn't tell him. He knew how much, but I decided not to even tell his father that he only had a 20% because I didn't want them to lose hope.
I get that, Barbara, because the day my son was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, my mom and I protected my grandmother from that news. And we decided why tell her so that she can suffer.
Absolutely. And I believe in energy. I truly believe in the law of attraction. I believe that the energy you give out, you get back. And I didn't want people to come with the energy that, oh, poor Angel's dying. I didn't want that. I wanted the positivity. And if I sense, so we go into mama bear.
That's it.
If I sense that somebody was bringing negativity, I would ask them never to come back again.
Good.
And once in a while, I'll send a text, "Hey, I understand you guys are being supportive. I need some time. I need some," because, that gets overwhelming too. You want the support, but sometimes you just want that quiet.
That's it.
So I picked up some brave, because I wouldn't be able to do that before. Just let people do what they want. And I would send a text and said, "Hey, I need some quiet," and he would ask for it too. "Okay, please, no visitors today." Okay, no visitors today.
Yeah. And at that point, you want to do what makes him comfortable.
Absolutely.
He's going through so much. So,
Absolutely.
hey, even if it rubs someone else the wrong way, right? But today, Angel needs some peace and quiet.
Absolutely.
How did his passing at age 10 shift the way that you saw life going forward? Because I know that will forever change any human that goes through something like that.
I think that if it wasn't for Angel's bravery, I wouldn't be as strong as I was. The minute he's going through the passing, through the moment of, his last words to me were, "Mom, I feel stuck." And I said, "What do you mean?" "Ma, I want to be with you, but I gotta go." A 10-year-old. So at that moment, it literally shifted from me saying, "Do what you got to do to save my kid," to, "He's ready. Do what you got to do to transition." And from that moment, it was ganas. Okay, he's gone. He's in a better place. Literally within a month, I had signed up to go back to school. I now have this drive in him. I have this. He was my fuel. Although I had started school when he was diagnosed, I was doing it, I got to accomplish this. Now I was on turbo now.
That's it.
I was ready. And I'm telling you, I only had 6 credits of college when my son passed. Only 6. And I had just obtained that when he was diagnosed. So it was just like, are you marked? Get set, go.
Barbara, that, like when you said like your fuel and you were on turbo, that resonates with me so much, and I'm sure anyone listening in today, it might resonate with them as well, because when you go through something so traumatic, for me it was almost like my son's death wasn't in vain. So what do I do? Right? I can't just be like, well, Juju passed away, boy, I'll keep going with the same life I've been doing. No, that was my fuel to say I need to do more.
Absolutely.
And that's what you did.
My child would not die in vain.
That's it.
He will live through me for the rest of my life. That's it.
And that is what motivated you to keep going and get more college credits and obtain the degrees you've obtained and just keep going, because he's that driving force.
Every time that I even feel like life happens, and through grieving, listen, when people say you heal from it, you never heal. Grieving is a journey without a destination. You never heal from that, right? So it's accepting that, and more than anything, accepting that this is something I'm going to go through for the rest of my life. How am I going to do that? All right, my coping school became my education. And through my education, learning about the brain, learning about mental health, learning how to cope, not only, through my own grief, my own depressions and anxieties that came from beyond Angel, right? Childhood traumas and whatnot, that now, okay. So him being that driving force for me to go back to school also helped with other areas of my life that I've been struggling with my entire life.
Maybe things that were just hidden in there that now came to surface because of that.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit more about that, how losing your son made you go after wanting to get more into the, mental health.
Absolutely. So when I went back to school, I did the human services thing. I said, I got my bachelor's in human science, and I just wanted to help, right? I want to help the community. I wanted to give back, and always wanted to be a hero. As a kid, I wanted to be a superhero. But I can't do that. So what's the next best thing?
That's right.
I become a social worker. So then once I got my bachelor's, I thought that was the only thing I was going to get. Something inside of me said no. As a matter of fact, a professor planted the seed of become a licensed mental health counselor, right? You get you have these letters after your name, and you can open your own practice and whatnot. So he planted that seed, and the day after graduation, I started my master's degree. So I just kept going, and I wanted to be able to help not only women with trauma first and foremost, grieving, and wherever that led me to, I knew that it would be helping others just cope with whatever life it's happened. It may be a little selfish because I wanted to learn how I was going to cope with everything. Yeah. So I dived head first into my education.
You helped yourself, and in that process, you're able to help others.
Absolutely. So every time I learned an intervention, I applied it.
Love that.
And I picked up my favorite skills, and that became anything I introduce as an intervention is because I've done it and because I know it works. So eventually got my license, After that, it was like, I think I want more.
Yes.
Get my doctorate degree, So it's on pause now. So now I'm finding the motivation to finish my doctorate degree.
That's so incredible, Barbara. Do you find that you meet a lot of people in the mental health field people that come to you, right, for services, who are dealing through grief, who have lost a child? Do you find?
Ironically enough, that doesn't happen a lot. I picked up a side gig at an organization where I was doing the grieving for tragedy, children who died in tragedy, right? And finding the blessing that my child didn't die in tragedy, right? Because even that is the silver lining. So I would help in that aspect, but not often with children like our children did I find parents who were going through that. I was more gravitating to women with traumatic issues, child sexual abuse, domestic violence, and somehow that it's almost like gravity.
Wow. In speaking with you, I'm like, wow, she speaks my language, right? Because even now, when you just mentioned the silver lining, your child didn't die in a traumatic way. Barbara, I say that so much, right? Someone recently mentioned to me, maybe you can relate to this mom. They also lost a child. And I told her, I can't. My heart connects with her because she has to bury a child. I said, but girl, the fact that God blessed me with 10 months to lay by my baby's side, to hold his hand, to lay hands on him and pray for him, to believe God for a miracle.
Absolutely.
But that mom had to lose their child in a traumatic way or get a phone call that your child is gone. I could never imagine
Absolutely
that.
not. Absolutely not.
So you mentioning that, I'm like, wow, she gets me.
Absolutely. Because then if you don't lean into the silver lining, if you don't lean into finding the positive side of the situation, I honestly tell people, and some people think I'm crazy when I say, I wouldn't change my child's death for nothing in the world. If somebody said, if you could take back time and save your child, I wouldn't, for many reasons. First and foremost, I didn't want my child to suffer. And with a cancer like leukemia, he would have suffered for the rest of his life, not being able to play sports the way he wanted to, not be able to have children the way he wanted to. Like, his life would have been, I'm sure he would have found a worth living, but it would have been difficult. And I prefer him to live those 10 years the way he lived it than to live 10 more miserable and unhappy and in pain. No, at some point you pray to God, do what you got to do. I don't want my child to suffer anymore. So, I'm able to see the positive side in that, and even say to myself, look at God. I was there the moment he took his first breath. I was there when he took his last.
Oof, girl.
What a blessing to see your to me, it's a blessing, and I see it that way. And if I had not seen it from that perspective, God knows where I'd be. Wow. God knows where I'd be. So I'm blessed and grateful to see things from that perspective for my own resilience. Really grateful for it.
I never saw it that way. I was there to watch him take his last breath. I never saw it that way. How amazing. How amazing. Oh my goodness, Barbara, you really got me thinking about that one. Whew. What I wanted to say, without the cameras, even though the cameras are there, just so you could get what I'm saying. Yeah. So I know for me, sometimes I want to honor Juju's life to such an extent that sometimes I feel like I might be dishonoring him if I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm such an amazing mom to Anaya and Alina, but I couldn't be that for him because life took him from me. So I guess, like, how do you find that you're able to continue to honor your son, right? He's no longer physically with you, and continue to still enjoy life and find joy and fulfillment in this beautiful life that God has given you while still honoring his memory?
I think they go hand in hand for me. For me, he's the driving force when I'm struggling with something. Let's say I'm going through a breakup, going through some difficult times. I say, if I could get through that, I can get through anything. So it reminds me to come back, right? So he's definitely that motivation to keep me in focus, and that ain't nothing compared to what I've been through, right? So that's that. Also, Angel lives very much between us still. Like, we still talk about him, we still joke about him. We'll motivate the children to accomplish things on his behalf, right? So don't forget, we used to call him Choopy. Do it for Choopy. Don't forget, Choopy's watching. When they were little, oh Lord, this was bad. This was probably bad. So anytime I want to catch him in a lie, I say, Choopy's watching. Choopy's gonna tell me. So they were like, yes, Mom, I lied.
You have a big brother watching over you. No, he tells me all things.
He'll be unhappy. I had to learn how to allow myself to experience joy without feeling guilty. So my youngest son was born almost a year after Angel passed. So he was born in August. Angel's first anniversary is September. And I remember went back to work at the Bay State and walking around pregnant, happy. And I came across a pastor, and I'm like, I'm struggling with allowing myself to feel joy. Am I supposed to be this happy right now after just a year of my son passing? He goes, would he want you to be happy right now? So then that stuck. So I think that we have our struggles. I'm forever going to have those up and downs, and situations happen where they trigger, right, that sadness and that grief. But back again, no, if I could survive that, I'll survive anything.
That's it. I love that, because I find myself saying that a lot as well. Like, oh, that little small thing,
That's nothing.
like I've been through worse. I can overcome that.
Absolutely.
For parents listening who have lost a child, what message of hope or survival would you want to share with them?
I think that it's important to lean on to spirituality, and you don't need to be religious to be spiritual. Leaning to taking care of yourself, right? There's no right or wrong way to grieve, but there's healthy ways to do so. Taking care of ourselves from the inside out is so important when we're going through the grieving process. Because just like that, I see folks who become alcoholics or addicts through the process of grieving because they numb. So my advice usually is, don't touch anything. You're going through any difficult time like that of losing a child or a loved one, anybody. Don't pick up any alcohol, any substances, even food rather. Just be mindful of being as healthy as possible as you go through this process. And you will find a silver lining. You will find a positive side of the situation, allowing yourself to go through the motions of it. Prior to Angel passing, I was on all types of antidepressants, from childhood stuff that I mentioned earlier. After Angel passed, first thing they asked me is, did I want an antidepressant? I was insulted by that. I was so insulted by that because I wanted to feel that pain. I knew that pain was going to drive me, just allowing myself to feel it. I have never touched an antidepressant after that.
Amen to that.
Ever. I have never. My antidepressant is taking care of myself, diet, exercise, meditation, running, therapy. Those are my antidepressants.
Because otherwise, like you said, you're just numbing it.
You're
numbing the pain.
Yeah.
You're not allowing yourself to go through the process of grieving and healing and all of that.
Absolutely.
I remember I smoked weed since I was like 14 years old, right? Would smoke at the bus stop before jumping on the bus to get to school. And then when my son passed away, I used that as my driving force to say, my son wouldn't want me doing this. My son wouldn't want me getting high. Like, why do I need this crap?
Absolutely.
And I remember getting home one day and saying, nope, down the toilet it goes, because my son, like, his life matters. Like, it mattered, and it still matters, and God has so much more for me, and losing my son, there's got to be a purpose for that. So drowning myself and just getting high so I can numb the pain, like, why?
No. And again, that's not what they would want.
Exactly.
Right? So it's just like definitely finding the purpose, and there's a lesson in it. There's a lesson in everything that we go through, even something as big as losing a child. Try to identify what that is. What is that lesson? What is it that I need to learn from this? Because, again, you don't need to be religious to be spiritual, but finding, okay, what's up with this here? Hold on. And I picked up a little bit on Buddhism when he passed, and it's saying learning how not to be attached to even things like that. Suffering is inevitable. How much we suffer is on us. Right? So picking up on that, even does my form of spirituality, helped me through it.
Spirituality is so important, because without it, I wouldn't have been able to get through it. And I feel, Barbara, that even for people who say, I'm an atheist, or I don't believe in a higher power, when they're going through something traumatic, they're going to cling on to something to help them get through. Again,
you don't need, actually, my dissertation for my doctorate is mental health treatment is not as effective without spiritual wellness.
That's good.
So my research is on how do we use spirituality to cope with our mental health, how important it is.
That is so good. I love that.
Thank you.
What do you wish that more people would understand about grief, especially long term? And I feel like you did hit the nail on this a little bit, but if you could expand a little bit more.
It's a journey without destination. It's learning how to cope, I worried about folks who say, you'll heal from it. Those people waiting for that destination struggle more. So that radical acceptance of saying, the grieving of a child is an ongoing cycle. There are moments that you're at peace with it, you accept it, and something happens where there's a little bit of anger there, there's a little bit of denial. It's going to be 18 years since my son passed. This month, if I don't channel into self-care, meditation, therapy, talking about them, I would struggle more. Again, suffering is inevitable. How much I suffer this time of year is on me. So I take full control of it.
And that's so funny because you and I spoke, and it's just such a big coincidence that September is such a big month for us when it comes to grieving. And I would feel myself feeling a little off in the month of September, and I'd be like, why, what's wrong? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, the month that my son passed away.
Our brain remembers. Our conscience remembers.
That's it. And I love that you said, like, there's never like complete healing. Like grief, for anyone listening, if you feel like, oh my goodness, it's been 20 years, why do I still feel this way? It's absolutely normal. Right? Like, it's a long-term thing. And like you said, there's ups and downs, and we may feel a little better sometimes, and other times, like you said, we may be triggered. There's a memory, there's a month, there's a birthday, there's, you know, something. Like my youngest daughter's 4, Barbara. And when she turned 3, girl, I had such a hard time with that. I remember making a post on social media like, my baby turns 3 today, because Juju only ever turned 3. He never turned anything more than 3.
So you're waiting for that hit. So, you know, having 2 other children that were younger than him, that 10-year mark will come. I could breathe. Even with my youngest, that 10-year mark, I could breathe. Same feeling, because you're like, you're waiting for that impact, you know. And then now I have a 3-year-old grandson and a 6-year-old granddaughter that the Ochupi is very much alive in their lives. That's the Ochupi. That's your, you know, this is how we cope. So, you know, back to spirituality, you could still have a relationship with your loved ones.
Yes.
I think that there's the picture of my child. We go visit. We go have picnic at his graveside. We introduce him to the grandchildren. He is alive and well. And you know, and you have people say, why do you do that? Because that's how we cope. And how many children you have? I have 4.
That's it.
I am never going to count my child out. My oldest would have been going on 28. And then there goes a conversation that I absolutely love talking about my kid.
I love that. I always love that opportunity too. How many kids? I have 2 little girls, and I have a son who'd be turning 18 next month, you know, and we go from there. And Barbara, back to the point of like visiting the gravesite and your grandchildren knowing who Theo Chupi is. I love that, because my girls never met Juju yet. Juju's their brother, and there's pictures, and you know, they like, I have his belongings at home still. And so, because it's truth without edit, so we're going to keep it real, right? So I did I grew up going to church on and off with my mom and my grandmother and my dad. And then I stopped going to church for a bit. And then in my early 20s, went back to church because I lost my son. And I just needed a place to find healing and all that really good stuff.
You need a connection.
I needed that. But in the church, you would learn that visiting a gravesite is maybe not good, right? Or not like what God would want you to do, because the dead, they're dead. Like, you let them be.
Right.
But I agree with you. Like, I bring my girls to the gravesite. I say, like, your brother Juju, his body's there. He's in heaven now with God. He's alive and well, but this is where we laid his body to rest. We talk about him all the time.
Absolutely. As you should.
All the time. Because guess what? When people's kids grow up and they get married and leave the house, do you not talk about them anymore because now they don't live with you? No. Like, you know, so that's my child. Like, him passing away, it doesn't cut that connection that I have with him, you know?
Not.
So I love that you're mentioning this, because it's so natural. It's so normal to do that. And people might frown upon that, but it's like, that's my kid.
Yeah, it's within our culture, unfortunately, and certain religions that feel that once they're gone, they're gone and you're not allowed to speak about them again or whatnot. I've heard people say that. Why are you still talking about him? Excuse me. If you don't like it, you know, I remember something similar to that on Facebook. I'm like, delete me, because I am gonna, for the rest of my life, feed my post.
That's
September. Ironically, September Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
Exactly.
Hello. So I'm gonna be absent. My son's all over my page right now. Every day I post something. If you don't like it, goodbye.
Girl, preach. I recently had a conversation with someone, and it was just like, you know, whatever the conversation was led into like, why would you think that? Like, I lost a child. And then that person's like, not everything's about Juju. Oof. And I'm like, yeah, everything is. Because my Juju, my baby boy that God sent to me, that then life took away from me, and that God allowed it to happen, because everything happens for a purpose, right? he laid the foundation for who I am as a mom, as a human, as a woman, everything.
That's it.
You know, like without my baby boy, I wouldn't be who I am. Barbara, just like you, Juju fueled me into everything I've done, everything I've become,
Absolutely.
the way I parent my children. That kid fueled me. So it will forever, like he will forever be he'll always be in my mouth. I'm gonna always talk about him. I'm gonna always mention him. And if you try to say something, I'm gonna always remember and bring up the fact that, well, you know, I had a kid who passed away. Like,
Absolutely.
and I'm sorry if you don't like that.
Keep it moving.
Like, why does that bother
That's
you?
it.
Like,
That's
are you
it.
kidding me?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's unfortunately some projection, something they're struggling with, right? So then that's something they need to work on, and you have to then put on that boundary. Sorry.
I love that. Before we wrap up, because I love that I'm sitting down with a licensed mental health counselor.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience listening in as it pertains to mental health, grieving, processing, loss, anything?
Oh my God, the conversation could go for hours when it comes to that. So, again, my few is my son to go back to school and learn how to cope myself. So going back to school was definitely as a way of coping, never to make money, right? It was never that. But ironically, now I'm able to help people with any struggle they're going through because of my experiences, not just Angel, right? I tell folks all the time, my degrees don't make me a good clinician. It's my life experience. You know, so because I've experienced so much, I now have the degrees to be able to help, right? I have the platform to do so. But I'm not going to help somebody through grief or losing a child because of what's in my books. I'm not going to help a woman go through trauma and learn how to cope because of what I learned with my degrees. No, it's everything I've been through, learning these skills, right? To then cope myself. Now I'm able to pay it forward, right? Just having that platform.
So your life experiences is what helps you help others, but getting the education helps you elevate that information that you have.
Just gives me the platform.
That's it.
That's it. You know, the being able to then say, because I am a licensed mental health counselor, I'm more credible that I'm able to, unfortunately, right? I'm more credible to be able to help mom who just lost a child. Then I could say, I also lost a child.
Oof.
Right? Here are these skills that I've learned. Help me. Now I could give to you.
That's
you
it.
know?
That's it. All right, so we are going to wrap up with a quick lightning round. It'll be a little fun. And is there anything I didn't ask you today, Barbara?
You did wonderful.
Okay, yay. All right, so quick lightning round. Coffee or tea?
Coffee, hello.
Yes, I'm such a coffee girl. I dream about it. Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
One hobby or activity that always brings you joy?
Hiking.
Ooh, like that. One thing that your son did that still makes you smile when you think about it?
Think he's an old man. He thought he was my husband.
I love that. I love that. One piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
Stay strong. This too shall pass. You'll be all right.
That's good. Last but not least, a simple pleasure in life that you refuse to take for granted?
My health. My health. I've discovered that my health it's my fuel. I take care of my health like I breathe.
That's so important. Well, Barbara, this wraps up our episode. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank
it has
you.
been an absolute honor.
Likewise.
And speaking with you, I just felt like, wow, this woman understands me.
Oh, yeah.
She sees me. So thank you for this.
You're welcome.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Yay, we did that. Hearing Barbara's story reminds us that even in the most unbearable loss, love continues to lead the way. Her son's life was short, but his impact is endless, living on not only in her memories, but in the work she's dedicated her life to. Grief doesn't go away, but it can transform into purpose. And in that transformation, we find resilience, strength, and hope. If this conversation touched you, take a moment to share it with someone who may need to hear it. Whether you're a parent walking through grief, a friend supporting someone you love, or simply someone who needs the reminder that healing is possible, know that you're not alone. Let's keep telling these stories, honoring our children, and finding purpose in the pain.
Beautiful.
Whew.
This is girl, this is huge.
We
what you're
did
doing
that,
here.
girl. Ready to share what you've never said out loud? Visit truthwithoutedits.com and head to the Submit Your Truth tab to send your story. You can even submit anonymously. While you're there, feel free to check out our merch, stream the latest episodes, and join a community that's finally saying it all. Don't forget to subscribe and follow the show so you can stay in the know and be the first to hear when new episodes drop. Until next time, truth tellers, keep showing up loud and unedited.
And with that, we wrap season 1.